got so hot that I tripped my brake gun. Hi, I'm Larry Lawton, America's biggest jewel thief. Join me as I walk you through my past robberies, how I planned them, executed them, and ultimately got caught. I'm going to show you how we did things in prison, like making a tattoo gun, making wine, making white lightning. It's going to be very educational. These are the untold stories. Hey everybody, Larry Lawton back here for another edition of, I'm going to call it, I don't know, the MacGyver series. No, this is a great series of learning stuff that we did in prison to survive. I'm going to be using the stinger in this video again, but I'm not using the video itself. I'm not using the stinger in the video per se. It's not about the stinger. It's going to be a crazy video, and you're going to go, what is he doing now? You ever wonder when you get a peanut butter jar, how do you clean a peanut butter jar? And have you ever tried to, you needed a jar to put screws in, to put anything. We used to use peanut butter jars in prison for a lot of things. First of all, they sold peanut butter off the commissary. And everybody bought peanut butter. One, because it was great for you. It was actually a great source of protein. So you would use peanut butter on everything. You'd have crackers. They did sell crackers. And you had peanut butter, so whenever you were down and out, you can get crackers and peanut butter. And we also used to buy bread or bring bread back from the kitchen. They'd give you 2 slices of bread, and you could have peanut butter. And they even sold jelly, so you can have peanut butter and jelly in prison. And it's always a great sandwich. Even to this day, I eat peanut butter and jelly. I'm sure a lot of people do as well. So anyway, what we're going to do today, and it's hot as anything in my garage, but I'm going to make it hotter when I put my stinger on to boil water. But anyway, we used to they used to sell peanut butter off the commissary. They were usually the smaller jars, the little jars, but you get your peanut butter, you eat it. But we use it for another reason as well. What is a good jar worth in prison? Well, a peanut butter jar about that big, the smaller ones, would go for $50 with white lightning them. White lightning. We'd sell that jar of white lightning for $50. Okay, what's white lightning? White lightning is actually alcohol you can cook. You can literally burn it. You could if I put white lightning down here on this table, you could put a match to it and it would literally light and fire. It would be a blue flame. And that's how you know it's good alcohol in there. We actually used to do that in prison. We used to put the white lightning on fire to show the guy, hey, this is the real deal. This is good liquor. First, we made the wine. First, you make wine by using sugar. You use a little bit of yeast, sugar, and fruit. And then we would get the juices off the commissary, and we'd put some peels in it, orange peels or grapefruit peels, and we'd ferment it. We would put it in the back of the dryers or a washer. We actually dug a hole outside the back of a shower, put a garbage bag back there, used the hose off of the dryer. We used to get the dryer or the washer hose, which is a hose. We'd steal that hose, and we would get that hose to siphon the liquor back in and out. We made a hole in the wall with a pair of nail clippers, little nail clippers. We would literally gouge out the concrete behind a plate. In the shower, you'd go in the shower and there'd be a steel plate. Now, we'd have the guy at CMS just loosen those steels, or we'd get them loose one way or the other. And then we'd take that plate off, and then it's just the pipes are coming out into the controls. And it'd be a little, the hole right around like that size, and the pipe is going through it. Well, we used to make that hole, we'd widen it out. So it was a hole that big, and the pipe is coming out like here, and there's a whole big hole. We would stuff a bag down there, a garbage bag, a big, heavy, thick, 30-gallon garbage bags, those big, thick ones. And we'd make a net bag out of laundry bags. So we'd make the net bag, put the garbage bag in that bag for support. We'd stuff it inside that wall, and then we would fill that bag in behind the wall now, because that's where the wine is going to cook. We used to have to hide it somewhere to cook the wine. So we would cook that wine in behind the wall. We would get our sugar, we would get our fruit, we'd get our little bit of yeast, and we'd put it in a week. We would usually knock off 30 gallons of wine every single week. Now, half of that wine, we would make what they call white lightning. So white lightning is alcohol, literally pure alcohol. Well, I'm going to show you how we use these peanut butter jars. We would take peanut butter jars. Now, they were the little ones. We would eat them. We love peanut butter. We'd always eat that. And then we would take that peanut butter, and then we'd keep the jars. And then we would sell a little jar, a peanut butter jar, for $50. But it was white lightning. Well, what we have found out that what a pain in the ass it is to try to clean one of these out. If you took napkins and all this stuff, it would be there forever trying to get a clean peanut butter jar. So what do? How do you clean a peanut butter jar? I'm going to show you. First of all, we did our old, what you all know by come now, is a stinger. And we would have our stinger here. We'd put it in the water. We would then plug it in. And I'm going to start boiling my water. While my water boils, this is what I'm doing now, I get a newspaper. People used to get the newspapers in prison all the time, and it was great, so we have a newspaper. So what do you do then? You take your newspaper, and you start making strips. Look what I'm doing. I'm not a magician. I'm just going to show you what we're doing with a newspaper, boiling water, and a peanut butter jar. So I would make strips. I would get a bunch of strips, and I'd keep doing this. Keep making. Now you got to watch. I'm boiling my water for a reason, because you need hot water. You need boiling water the best. So now, as I keep doing this, I'm waiting for my water to boil. And I know at the end of this process, when I fill up that peanut butter jar, I'm getting drunk on that yard that night. Well, we used to make it so we'd keep our own. Of course, we'd all have our own jar of white lightning. We would get either jungle juice or even a soda off the commissary. They'd sell sodas. And we can make those. And I'm telling you, it's the closest thing you'll ever be to at a bar in prison, because it was actually white lightning. I'm not worrying about all of this and the strips and how nice I'm doing them. It doesn't matter. I'm taking these strips and just making a bunch of strips and waiting for my water to boil. And here I'm showing more things that we used to do in prison. And it's bringing back memories. I was in Yazoo, Mississippi, and it was a gang unit at the time, and we sold white lightning. Well, when you give a bunch of gang people alcohol in a gang unit, and they're all drunk, what do you think is going to happen? I can't even tell you how many fights were breaking out, and people were going crazy. It was like a zoo. It was pretty wild. And my buddy Ron and I would sit back against the wall and just watch the fun. It was like an amusement show, because you could see it coming. If you were in prison for a while, you got to feel. You could feel tension. You knew when something on that yard was going to happen. Look at my water. I'm boiling water in no time again with my trusty stinger that I'm going to be using for my pasta. So all I'm doing here is just making strips of newspaper. I probably have enough by now. And now I'm just even going to make them go a little bit smaller and just keep ripping them up. Nothing has to be good, because what I'm going to do now is take my peanut butter jar. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to start stuffing this paper into my peanut butter jar. And you're like, what is Larry, crazy? He's just ripping up paper, all of these little things, and he's just ripping them up. He's putting them in this jar. And you're thinking, what is Larry doing? He's stuffing a newspaper, ripped up newspaper, just little strips, ripping them up, and I'm putting them in a jar. And you're thinking, he's gone nuts. Larry's nuts. Yeah, I'm probably a little bit nuts anyway. Listen, when you're in prison for 11 and a half years, you get very innovative. You survive. And that's why I do these videos, guys, and even the girls. I don't want you guys to go to prison. I want you to watch my videos, and I really appreciate all the great support from all the people who just, say, well, there it goes. I must have blew a fuse. Wow, that was pretty cool. Okay, so I got to take this out. It is a hot cord. And we're back in business. Normally you won't trip a breaker in here, but we did trip this breaker. Got a little hot. Trip the breaker. I'm gonna put it back and see how long it'll last. And we're almost done boiling the water anyway. That actually happened. We tripped the breaker, so that was pretty cool. Showing everybody really what can happen. So my water's almost boiling. And I keep stuffing my peanut butter jar. Now what I'm going to do is take it out. It's hot enough. It's boiling. It's just about boiling water right now. I'm going to pull this out. Now it's off. I could take my stinger out. As you well know, I didn't trip the breaker again. That's out. I dump my coffee. I have hot water here. You pour it in the jar. And it is hot. I can almost barely hold this jar. Then you take your cover. Ow. You put it on. It is hot. You then put your lid on. You take a rag and you go like this, and the magic is going to happen. This is called magic. This is what we do in prison to clean out a peanut butter jar. Or you can even do this at home. It doesn't matter where you do it. You can boil the water any way you want, but you can get it. And now look at that jar, ladies and gentlemen. That jar is totally clean. Look at that. You have now no more messy jar. You can now take it, clean it out a little more, get whatever's in there, and look at that jar. That's how you clean a peanut butter jar the right way. Then what you do is you fill that peanut butter jar with white lightning and watch the fireworks, because that's what's going to happen in prison. When you take a bunch of inmates, a lot of them have life sentences, and a lot of them have sentences that are crazy stuff, and you give them alcohol and drugs and everything else, and you're going to have some serious issues going on in prison. It's just what happens. The next thing we did, everybody, was whether you were in the hole or whether you were on the compound and you needed to get a light and you didn't have a lighter. Obviously, there's not lighters in prisons. So they used to, when they smoked, they would give you a pack of matches. They actually did that. Then that went away. But what do you do if you're in the hole? We used to use a battery or a piece from a cigarette box. This is the top of a Marlboro, the cellophane that comes out. You can use that, or you can also use a Hershey bar. It comes in that cellophane, like a silver wrapper. The inside, that's conductive, and I'm going to show you how to light a piece of toilet paper. And then we used to make that and used to light a burner and boil water in the hole and literally make a burner. But at this point, toilet paper is a premium. So you don't want to waste toilet paper. Even in prison, it's the same thing. You don't want to waste toilet paper, believe it or not. So what do? You take your little trusty razor blade that you took out of a razor that they gave you, and you always have these razors sticking around the prison cell. So you use these razors by doing what I'm doing now. You now take that razor and you use it to cut strips, little strips. If you could see what I'm doing, you actually make these little slivers, and that's one of them, just like that. That's a little piece of silver. And you would make a bunch of them. You would keep these handy at all times. So I'm going to make a few right now, and you make them thin enough to use, but good enough so they're thick enough to just hold together. And all you're doing is you're taking these and you're keeping them in your book. Usually we would put them in a book and hide them. Like anything else in prison, we were always looking for spots to hide things. That is the that's the inmate creed. Get away with it, It's like almost like on the street. So you're taking this strip, and all I'm doing is making these things like this, and I'm making strips. I am enjoying this because it's bringing back a lot of memories when I was in the hole for so long. And you want to make these strips as straight as you can. You don't want to make them all jaggedy and stuff, because you're not going to get, because this is going to have conductivity from a battery, from the negative and the positive on a battery. And you're wondering how we're going to do that. We're going to show you how we do that too. This is Education 101 with Larry Lawton in the MacGyver series. This is kind of fun because I haven't did this in 11 years or 12 years I've been out of prison, and it's not something I do anymore because I can go get a cigar lighter and just light something, which is kind of easy and nice to do now. So you just keep cutting away on these little strips until you have as many as you have, because it's going to take usually more than one to light something. Guys would get really good, and you'd have the right thing. You'd spend, when I say hours, you would spend hours cutting these perfect. And then guys would got so good at them, they'd pass them, and you'd pass them in a book. You'd put them in this book that I'm showing you right here, and you would actually hide them in pages in a book, and guards aren't going to find everything. First thing you do after you do anything like this is you hide everything in your cell, because a lot of times guards can smell what's going on. They know most of them don't care. So anyway, you got your battery now. This is a C battery. You get little D battery, AA batteries for the transistor radios. They give them. Sometimes guys would make big battery packs because they did sell C batteries. At one time, they sold C batteries. This is a D or C? This is a D, but they didn't sell D, but they had C batteries. So what do you do with this? You then come here and you cut off the coating that's around the edge. Look at this, what I'm doing. And I'm actually exposing the positive end to this. Notice I'm doing it on the negative end. This is the negative end. This is the positive. This will be the positive. And it goes like this. And I'm just taking this down to what it is. And some people would get more than they need. I never did. I used to have a battery, and then you put your battery back in your radio. And obviously, if the guards see that your battery is messed up, they'll take it. Obviously, it was a cat and mouse game. Prison is nothing but a cat and mouse game. And I was talking to some friends of mine, and they actually sold their stock of Geo, a prison, and I'm glad, because I'm not a fan of private prisons at all, because of the profit margin on prisoners. It's just not something that somebody can justify to me that they're doing. I just don't buy it, and I will never buy it. Now, I don't know if this battery even works because it's been in here forever, but I'm going to give it a whirl and see what happens. And I'm making it so all of this is off. Look at what I just did. If you could see that, You could see that I took this off too. So you have the negative, and that's actually a positive. It looks kind of messed up. I don't know if it's going to be conductive enough, but we will find out in another second here. A couple of minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how this works. Now you have your battery. You have your I call them your lighters. Now you need your toilet paper. You roll up a piece of toilet paper. It's going to be like a wick. It's going to be just tightly wound, and then it's going to have a fray end on the end. Just an end that can catch fire. And it's usually, you make sure it's very easy to catch. So that means it's not tightly wound at the end. It's very thin, and it can catch very easily. So now you take that. People thinking, what is he going to do it over this? You have that just like that, hanging like that. Now you take your little strips that you have right here, these little strips. You bend them just like that. I put a little crease, if you can see. That's like a little crease right there. As you can see. And now you're going to put one end to the positive, that's the negative, and one end to this positive, and watch how it happens. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I did it. There's your fire. You're looking at it, and that's what we used to do. And I would light a cigarette, or I can light anything I want. And that's how we did it. This is pretty cool that I got this one going too. And it will keep going. I could keep this lit for a second and light another dude's cigarette, hang out with the dude, and we just lit fire with a battery and pretty much nothing else. So that was kind of fun. I enjoyed it. Listen, don't try this at home, and I mean that. Make good choices. Everything you're doing is about choices. You don't want to have to do what I just did. I really enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun showing you how things do work in prison. This is another educational video. Listen, having always a good time. Please make good choices. Everybody, prison reform. Support us in any way you can. Check out our stuff in the links below. Man, the smell of the fire has got me thinking back to prison. Stay safe out there. I know there's a lot going on in your community. I know I did a public service announcement. Please adhere to it and enjoy these videos. I'm enjoying doing them, and I hope you're enjoying watching them. Ladies and gentlemen, I love my fans. Keep all the stuff coming. My next video, I'm going to be answering some of your crazy stories that you young criminals, I'm calling it. See if you could have been in my crew. It's called Confessions. Have a great day. Check out all the stuff in the links below. Much love and support. I really mean that. And thanks for following us.